What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Rad 89 here, bringing you another video. And today we are starting our countdown to Halloween. So over the next few weeks and going all the way into Halloween time, we're going to be counting down my top 10 in subgenres of horror. So we're going to be tackling zombies, body horror, slashers, all that kind of stuff, and give you my top 10 so you know where they lay, what my favorites are, and all that kind of stuff. And today we're going to talk about zombie films, which is one of my favorite subgenres in horror. I eat that shit up, zombie films. So today we're going to talk about my top 10 favorites. And of course, this is just my list, my personal opinion. That means I would love to hear from all of you in the comment section. Share lists of all your favorite zombie films. So let's get into this. Roll it. So as I said in my intro, zombie subgenre, this is one of my favorites in horror, and today we're going to talk about my 10 favorites, and let's kick this right off with number 10 is going to be Bela Lugosi, White Zombie, 1932. I know this is a very dated film. This is famously known for being the full-on first theatrical release film that is about zombies, but this isn't your more modern day take on zombies. This is much more an old school traditional take on zombies, where we go with the whole voodoo and mind control and all that kind of stuff, and using like drugs and potions to control people. Like that's what zombies were kind of introduced back in the day. They really didn't become flesh eaters until about the George A. Romero era of zombie films. So yeah, but 1932, I really do like this film with Bela Lugosi because White Zombie has such haunting imagery. It's got these really cool overlays of Bela Lugosi's eyes, and like it's just a creepy vibe. It's one of those films that you could turn on midnight and just enjoy the visuals because of the black and white, the production design of the areas, the painted backgrounds that they used back then. It's got a really cool 30s nostalgia feel to it, and I love watching it. The performances are great in the film as well, and like I said, it's just one of those movies that I love returning to, and it's a perfect watch, especially around that midnight hour. Man, you'll eat up these visuals for sure. Coming in at number 9, we have The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. And for me, I know a lot of people, they fancy Zombieland, but in terms of like high octane comedy horror type stuff in the zombie genre, I'm much more a Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse person. The writing in this one and the direction, it's just, the comedy is much more my realm. And I know it's raunchy, kind of kiddie comedy in terms of like just stupid, silly stuff like a zombie cop getting caught in a gate and her breasts come out and start flopping around and one of the kids is staring at it. So it's like that. It's just silly comedy that hits the funny bone for me. And like, I like the main cast of characters, the 3 best friends who are in that kind of group, and they're the last of like the Boy Scouts group. One has only stayed because the other friend stayed, and they stay because they don't want to hurt the other one's feelings. It's got this cool dynamic between all the characters. And yeah, this is one of those films. The first time I watched it, I was crying, laughing so hard. That's how much I love this movie. And it's one of those films I rewatched it, and it's just every time the comedy does hit for me. I might not laugh as hard now that I did the very first time, but it's still got that awesome feel, and it's one of those films that I could just pop on in the background, have going, and enjoy it. Number 8 is going to be, I'm sorry, Return of the Living Dead fans, but I am a Return of the Living Dead Part 3 fan. I know there's 3 films in this kind of franchise. Well, there's more than 3. I think they did 5 actually, but it's usually the first 3 are considered the best of the Return of the Living Dead franchise. I see a lot of fans of the first one, but I'm a huge fan of this third one because of the kind of Romeo and Juliet story that we tell, and it's a very dark tale. It's kind of a dark zombie tale, with that, and it's got really good special effects. Oh, I must say, the gorgeous Melinda Clarke. I've never seen a zombie so bad that I've just like, she's gorgeous, you want to hook up with her. Like that, the production design, the design of her character when she's revealed in this film, like, oh my God, like for real, this was right up my alley, because I'm not too into like Romeo and Juliet or like really old school William Shakespearean stuff. I'm not really into that, but this is a more modern, like I said, horror, dark telling of that story, and it has the zombies in it. So, and there's great gore effects. So for me, this is the one that really lands and hits home for me. You know what I mean? just the style, the way it is, and that payoff moment at the end with the two of them. I won't spoil anything, but when we get to the end, like I was upset. I was in tears, and like this film really got to me. So yeah, Return of the Living Dead Part 3 sits very comfortable here at the number 8 spot. Now we're here at number 7, and this is the newest member to this list because I just saw this film within the last year, but it's so freaking good. Number 7, Little Monsters. This movie is a Hulu original starring Lupita Nyong'o and Josh Gad, and I believe, oh, I can't remember the other guy's name, but it's a good cast. Like in the beginning, just whole on good cast, and the comedy lands for me in this one. This is another one that has kind of that almost kiddie comedy, but it's great because we follow a teacher and they're taking students on a field trip, and like when the zombie apocalypse starts to happen kind of thing, that's a stressful situation. Just thinking about it in general is like you're a teacher and you got maybe one other teacher assistant person with you, and you're trying to handle like a class of kids during a zombie apocalypse. Like, trust me, the comedy in here, it leads for some awesome, amazing moments. Like, that's what's amazing about this film. Plus, it has a strong heart and a good theme at the center of it. So this is one of those films that had me laughing, had me crying, had me so invested by the end, and the payoff is great, and it's got such a good pace to it too. And Lupita Nyong'o as the teacher, like, oh my God, she's fabulous. You might know her from Us. She was in Jordan Peele's Us, but she's fabulous in this movie. Probably one of the greatest female leads I've seen in a film, like for real. She's the teacher you want to have if the zombie apocalypse goes down. She's got your back. Here we are at number 6, and that's going to be Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror, the Grindhouse special. And this was easily one of my favorite times in the theater. I went to go see this when it came out with Death Proof and Planet Terror, the double feature. Went and saw both of them, and yeah, Planet Terror really knocked my socks off for real. And plus, I'm a huge fan of Robert Rodriguez. I'm a Robert Rodriguez whore. So anything he does, I eat that shit up. So Planet Terror, a zombie, and it's like more that mutated, infected zombies, and they look gross and extreme, kind of like Resident Evil characters. We got a great cast like Rose McGowan, Bruce Willis, Freddie Rodriguez, like the cast across this board. Even Quentin Tarantino was in this film too, playing like a real deep down dog shit asshole. Like, so this film is awesome, and it's got that cool, like I said, grindhouse feel, and it fits this film. The choppy scenery, the cigarette burns in the film, that like kind of old shaky like chopped up film. It all fits and builds an ambiance to this movie. And yeah, for real, Planet Terror is high octane action, of course, more than it is kind of a zombie film. But the zombie stuff, the gore effects, it's all extreme. It's all stuff I love. Like when they shoot the zombies, it's like exploding gore everywhere. Like, yeah, Planet Terror easily sits very comfortable here at this number 6 spot. Now we're here at the top 5. And before we get down to the top 5, consider liking and subscribing, especially if you're new to the channel, so you get more videos like this. And now, here, my number 5 pick is going to be ParaNorman. And yeah, man, this film is, in terms of animated like horror films, like PG kind of horror stuff, this is just the one for me. This hits home for me. Every time from here on up, these top 5 are the ones that I try to squeeze in every Halloween season, no matter what. And ParaNorman's great. Like, I know it's a film that it kind of fits a lot of other subgenres. It fits supernatural. It even fits like the witch subgenre a little bit because of the witch's curse, but the zombies are a heavy element in this film, and that's the Norman, that's his favorite thing is zombies, So I love this film for real. You can tell the creators love horror, and there's so many good homages and little Easter eggs throughout this film, like his best friend who has the Jason hockey mask, the creepy little Halloween John Carpenter's theme in there as I believe it's his cell phone ring or his cell phone notification thing. So it's just hilarious for real. This film is great, and you can see, like I said, how the creators love horror films, and like I said, in terms of PG or G-rated horror type stuff, this is right up my alley because it's got such great characters, an amazing payoff, and I like the fact that there really isn't any antagonists or enemies in this film. This film has characters that evolve and character develop. Even the bad people that we are supposed to view as bad in the beginning, or they talk about being evil, they have a character development and an arc all the way through this movie. So yeah, ParaNorman is such an amazing, strong film. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking this one out. Here we are at number four, and number four is going to be Lucio Fulci's Zombie, and here we have our Italian horror zombie film. And this film, like, this might be kind of a safe bet, but this is my favorite Lucio Fulci film. He does get wild, his films get weird as they go on and stuff, but this zombie film is one of the best. And this was actually scripted at the beginning to be a sequel to George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, and it was called like Zombie 2. Even in I think believe in the UK or in Europe they called this Zombie 2 when it was released. But yeah, Zombie by Lucio Fulci, one of the best scores for any of the films on this list. The score is my favorite thing about this movie. Another great thing I love about this movie is it's got that sleazy kind of Italian tone. We got some boobs underwater, very naked, topless boobs underwater, so can't complain about that. But we also get to see a zombie fight a shark underwater, so there's amazing moments and awesome gore effects. My favorite one is one that has to do with a woman, a splintered door, and an eyeball. If you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Lucio Fulci's Zombie, slam dunk, is one of the best, like I said, in terms of score, in terms of tone, and then the payoff at the end, like, it's really good. Like, this film just is all around a fabulous crafted movie, and like I said, is my favorite Lucio Fulci film. Here we are at number three, and number three is going to be George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And man, in terms of like black and white films, this was the very first black and white movie that I ever saw, Night of the Living Dead. And George A. Romero just, it grabbed me. Even at that young of an age when I saw this film, I don't remember my age, but I was pretty young. It grabbed me. This is one of those movies that even, like I said, being such a young child, you can tell the impact this movie has. You can feel it. And in George A. Romero, this was, like I said, the first era of really turning zombies into flesh eaters. Before this, it was definitely a more traditional, old school take on zombies. So this is like leading into why zombies are the way they are now. So George A. Romero, that's what's great about Night of the Living Dead, is it's really such an influential film that changed the zombie genre forever. And just the characters in this movie, the performances, it's so gripping, and I love that aspect. Plus we have an African American man as the lead role, which was very rare at that time, and he freaking delivers hardcore. So yeah, this movie just is one of my favorite movies to pop on at midnight or 1 a.m. It just is such a great watch at that time of night. The visuals, just the sounds, like the zombie scenes when you see them like kind of eating, and it's like just panning around showing you eating the people from the truck when they blow up, and when they're going to get gas. Like, there's just so many moments in this film. I'm sorry, I'm like talking about it, kind of spoiling certain moments in this film, but yeah, Night of the Living Dead, I get giddy about, because like I said, this was the first black and white film that I ever got introduced to. And George A. Romero, like I said, even at that young of an age, he was able to grab me and was like, look at this. Like, I realized this is something special, and easily is a watch for me every Halloween season. It's the Night of the Living Dead has to be watched every season. Coming in at number two, the runner up to the top dog is going to be Shaun of the Dead. And man, in terms of zombie comedy, like romantic comedy and zombie films, this is my favorite. Like, what they were able to do with Shaun of the Dead, just, it like hit home for me. All the comedy, all that dry humor, like Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, like, it's just, that was a great pairing, these two guys. And just the way it plays out, it feels like it was me and my best friend. Like, if we didn't have our wives or girlfriend, we just kind of grew up as friends together and lived together for our whole lives and played games, it kind of felt like that's how we would be eventually. And then the zombie apocalypse happens. But not speaking on all the comedy and all the romantic stuff in this film has a lot to say in terms of theme and about, consumerism and kind of being just trapped in this realm of where everybody's kind of a zombie. We live this everyday life where we do the same thing. We go to the same stores. We buy the same stuff. So we kind of are trained in our minds to be zombie consumerists. So like, there's a lot of commentary on society in this film, and I think Shaun of the Dead, it really does handle and balance the comedy and the horror, and it keeps you at arm's length, so you're not really scared of it. But the gore effects, the zombie effects are great. There's a lot of different varieties of zombies, and I love that. I'm much more of a slow zombie person, as you can tell throughout this list. I'm a classical type, old school zombie person. And yeah, this film is just one of the best. Like, seriously, if you haven't seen it, easily go watch this film. I highly recommend it. I know for some people the dry humor this certain humor that's written in here might not land, but for me, it's just perfect because it just fits the tone of what they're trying to do for the film. And when you see the end of the film, the payoff moment at the end, like, yeah, you understand what they're trying to do with this movie. So yeah, Shaun of the Dead, easily the best zombie comedy film I think out there for sure. Now we're here at the top dog, the number one. Oh man, there has to be a king. Day of the Dead, George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. This is my favorite zombie film, and I know people are freaking out. They're like, where's Dawn of the Dead? What are you doing? I'm actually not very high on that film. I think George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead is a little overrated. I'm vastly a bigger fan of Night of the Living Dead, as you can see, and Day of the Dead. As it stands for me, it's Day of the Dead and then every other zombie film. This is the film that is the pinnacle of zombie films in terms of effects by Tom Savini, in terms of the tone, which I love, the dark, somber tone. It's a very nihilistic, world-ending tone to it. It fits amazingly. The cast, the performances are top-notch in this film. You can really see the effects of what the zombie apocalypse has done to these people, and I like that aspect of the movie because you can see everybody unraveling. Like, this group is not a good group to be tagged along with for the end of the world. Like, for real, you can see how everybody, there's cracks, everybody's falling apart. Like, the performance of, Logan, Dr. Frankenstein, like, oh God, like, that's one of the best. And his chemistry with Bub, the zombie on screen, like, some of those moments are my favorites. And some people talk crap about those moments. They don't like Bub, they don't like the Dr. Frankenstein stuff, but I like this film because it takes a different approach from Night and Dawn in terms of just destroying the zombies and ending them and trying to survive. This film is much more about how do we cure this? How do we fix what has happened? And yes, we have one doctor going about it like, let's find a cure. Let's try to reverse it. And then we have another doctor trying to figure out, let's train them. Let's, teach them to be like, kind of like, pets, or train them from the beginning as children to being more adults, like, because they are still humans in essence. As I said, you can tell I'm very high on this film, and yes, the performances, the characters are a big thing for me because I find every character in this film relatable, even crazy ass Rhodes. He's nuts and he's very controlling, but you could understand almost his perspective as he's telling. He doesn't really understand. He's afraid of what he doesn't know. He's afraid of the science aspect of the film, like he said, and he's used to being just a very, macho army man, and he's trying to annihilate the problem. He doesn't view it as, let's reverse it, let's fix the problem. So that's why I like Day of the Dead too, is because it's a very great character study, and all of the characters have growth. This is a 5-star film for me, where it is amazing. I love, like I said, the nihilistic, dark, somber tone. The score is amazing. George A. Romero's direction and Tom Savini's effects, it doesn't get better than this film. If I was to recommend any one of Tom Savini's films that he's done in effects, this is the one that I would tell somebody who's like a horror fan, just getting into it or never seen horror films, would be like, this is the one you need to watch to really see the pinnacle of, realistic effects and what can be done with practical when you take the time. And yeah, Day of the Dead, like I said, top notch. Easy, number one in my book. Thanks for sticking around with me all for this list of the top 10 zombie films. But as I said in my intro, this is just my list. That means I would love to hear from all of you in the comments section. Share your list. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And have a safe and happy day, everyone. Peace out.